Hey there, guys. Uh, I've been seeing a lot of posts like for the last few weeks now, mostly videos on YouTube and a little bit on Twitter. Not much because I'm not on Twitter as much, but even a little bit of Facebook. And I've been seeing a lot of people question the Game of the Year award, saying that's biased, which I kind of agree with a little bit. I don't think they're completely biased, but they are biased, in some situations. I'm also thinking, reflecting a little bit on the fact that it's been about 10 years now. It's been a 10-year streak of Xbox not having any of their first-party titles nominated or even, considered as Game of the Year. That's fine. I'm not here to talk about that. But, the selection, I'm kind of a bit bothered by it myself. Due to the fact that, Resident Evil 4 Remake is on that list. And if you guys watch the Legendary Duo podcast that I do with Legend 350, you guys know how I feel about that. The fact that, Resident Evil 4 alone has created so much of a legacy within that series and expanded that series a lot more. I'm not saying that it expanded the popularity. I just feel like Resident Evil 4 is the most popular game in the franchise, where it brought a lot of folks in who were new to the Resident Evil series, to that game, introduced them to that game, and, people probably, expanded from there and went back and played the older games. Not an issue, but I just kind of feel like it probably isn't really fair for that game to be considered a nominee, compared to other games that came out. I mean, argue if you want to. I guess Starfield, I guess probably could have got on there. A lot of people argue that Final Fantasy 16 got on there. That's fine. I'm not a fan of both of those games, so it doesn't matter. But I guess, from a different light, yeah, it probably should, deserves to be up there. But getting to the point of the video, I talked a little bit too long about this. Getting right into the point. I feel like the Yakuza games should be considered as nominees for Game of the Year. Now, I know that's kind of biased from my own bias, but I feel like those games are heavily plot driven. There's a lot of plot holes in it. In those games, they all have great stories. I personally feel. I'm not a big fan of Yakuza 3 or Like a Dragon, or Like a Dragon, whatever you want to call it now. They changed the name to Like a Dragon now. So that's what you refer to the games as, and you play them. Not saying all of them deserve Game of the Year nominees, but I feel like a lot of them have really great plots. If you ask me what games I would consider to be, that should have been considered nominees on the list, Yakuza 0, Yakuza 1, or Kiwami, the remake, the slight remake, or upgraded remaster. Yakuza 2 or Kiwami 2. Yakuza 5. That was a great one. Lost Judgment. Those are great games. Inshin, Like a Dragon Inshin, nah. I feel like the greatest Judgment game ever out of all of them is Lost Judgment. As I argued before, on my top video games from 2021, I said, Lost Judgment, that if that was considered as a nominee, I think it probably would have had, if that got nominated, not nominee, that got considered as a nomination, man, a lot of people probably would have picked that game up and played it. It probably would have brought in more popularity for that series. Not saying that the Yakuza and the Like a Dragon series isn't that popular, but I just feel like those games are heavily overlooked when it comes to award ceremonies sometimes. And maybe I might be wrong. Maybe it's because Persona, when people think of Sega now, because now that now that Sega owns them, people think of, oh well, hey, this is we're going to think of Persona first, or Sonic. When we think of Sega, we're not going to think of, those games, the Yakuza games or the Like a Dragon games, as they're, maybe irrelevant. But just a, thought to myself. It's not a rant video. It's not me talking about how bad and biased that the Game of the Year awards are. Look, I'll still watch it regardless. I'm still, a fan of it all. I'll still sit there and watch it. You know, that's fine. I'm just saying, I just feel like the Yakuza games are heavily overlooked when it comes to, you know, that show. But hey, needless to say, all I'm saying is that giving them games some more acknowledgement. I mean, people are now not saying that people ain't playing them now, or people aren't acknowledging them, but I just feel like, you know, hey, you know, check these out while you at it, you know. So that's all I gotta say. Other than that, this is all I gotta say. This Drex, I'm out. Peace.